Today we're going to make this baby bonnet. I call this Daisy Bonnet because there's a daisy in the back. I have this made up in bright funky colors to look like a Gerber or daisy, but you could make the petals white for a classic daisy look, or do a brown center with yellow petals to look like a sunflower. The body of the bonnet is made up using 3 double crochet clusters like you might have used in a granny square. This is a good pattern for a beginner, and I'll walk you through each step. I would call this a size 9 through 12 month bonnet, but you could tweak the size by changing your hook size. I'll put a link to this written pattern as well as all of my crochet patterns in the description box below. This pattern is also on Ravelry, so you can add it to your queue. This project's made in worsted weight acrylic yarn. You'll need about 2 ounces for the main color and then just scraps for the flower. You'll need a size H crochet hook, a tapestry needle for weaving in your ends, and a pair of scissors. We'll begin with the center of the flower with the yellow yarn. Chain 3, and in the 3rd chain from the hook, make a slip stitch to form a ring. Now chain 3, this will be your first double crochet. You're going to put 7 more double crochets into the ring. You're not going to crochet into any stitch, just in the space made by the ring. Once you have your 7th double crochet, you're going to slip stitch into the top chain of the beginning chain 3 to join your round. Now I just do 1 extra chain, cut your yarn to finish this off. Now you have the center of your flower. You just pull on the beginning tail just a little bit to tighten up that center, make it nice and round. And I'm going to weave in my ends. You can wait till the end to weave in all your ends, but I'll weave them in as I go just to reduce the number of loose tails so that it's less confusing. Now we're going to join on the petal color. So just hold it to the back of your center. You'll insert your hook into any stitch under both of the loops of any stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now your color is joined on. You're going to chain 3. In the same stitch, you're going to put a treble crochet. A treble crochet is when you yarn over twice. Insert the hook into the stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So it's like a double crochet with 1 extra step. Now in this same stitch, we're going to put 1 more double crochet. That's your first petal formed. So you have chain 3, which acts as a double crochet, a treble crochet, and a double crochet. This is the petal cluster, and you'll put 1 petal cluster in each stitch. So in the next stitch, double crochet, treble crochet, double crochet. That's your second petal. I'll do 1 more. Double crochet, treble crochet, double crochet. So you'll put 1 petal in each of the 8 stitches all the way around. Once you have your 8th petal, you'll just slip stitch into the top of the first stitch to join your round, and finish off. Now we have our flower. We're going to join on the green, so just the same way that we joined on the orange, hold it from behind. You're going to put your hook in between 2 petals, not in the stitch, but in the space between 2 petals. Yarn over and pull up the green. Keep a hold of the green on the back side for a couple stitches just to hold it in place until the stitches lock it in place. We're going to chain 3. This acts as our first double crochet. Put another double crochet in the same space, chain 1, and 2 double crochets in the same space. So this cluster is made up of 2 double crochets, a chain, and 2 double crochets. So the chain will put a gap in the middle. I'm calling this a split cluster. You're going to want to put one split cluster between each petal. So we'll do another one. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, and 2 double crochets. So there's your gap, and that's your split cluster. So put them all the way around till you come back to the beginning. Once you have your 8 split clusters in between each petal, then you'll just slip stitch into the top of the first chain 3 to join your round. Now we want to work our way over to this gap, this chain 1 space gap. To do that, you're going to slip stitch in the next stitch and then into that space. The slip stitch allows you to travel over without giving you the height of a stitch. So now we're in this space, this chain 1 space in the middle of the split cluster. We're going to chain 3. This acts as a first double crochet, and we'll put 2 more double crochets in that same space. This is a 3 double crochet cluster. This is sometimes called a granny cluster because they're used a lot in granny squares. So I'm going to put 1 granny cluster all the way around, either between 2 clusters or in the gap in the middle of the cluster. So you have 16 spaces. You have 8 spaces between clusters and 8 spaces in the middle of the cluster. So you'll put 16 granny clusters all the way around till you get to the beginning. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet. Now in the gap, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet. Now you're in the space again, then the gap, then the space, then the gap, all the way around. Once you get all the way around, you should have 16 clusters. You might want to count them because the spaces that you're crocheting into are easy to miss because they're in the middle of the cluster. So make sure you have 16. And now instead of slip stitching to the beginning to join it, we're going to chain 3 and turn our work. So now we have a cluster here. We're going to skip that cluster and put a granny cluster in the space between the clusters. And that's what it should look like. You're going to put a granny cluster between each clusters all the way around till you get to the end. Once you've gone all the way around, you want to do 1 last double crochet in the top of the first stitch, like this. Chain 3 and turn your work. So you can continue adding rows back and forth like this of these clusters until you have 15 rows. Now this row begins with a space. Your first chain 3 acts as a double crochet, so just add 2 more double crochets for your first cluster, then just continue on. All the way around to the end. The end of this row is just like the first row. You're just going to put a double crochet in the first stitch of the last row. chain 3 and turn. You have your space, and that's where your first cluster will go. You have a double crochet from the chain 3 already, so just add 2 and then continue it around. So after the 15th row, this is what it looks like. That's the back, top, and that would be the front. Now I want to put a border of single crochets along this whole bottom edge, and I'll add the ties at the same time. So the last 3 rows here are going to be folded back for the brim. So I'll begin by chaining 1. That'll help ease around this corner. And the first thing we come to is the last double crochet of the last row. I'm going to put 2 single crochets there, because the height of a double crochet is about 2 stitches. The next thing we come to is a chain 3 turn from the row before. So I'll put 2 single crochets in that. On the 3rd row we have a double crochet again, so 2 single crochets in that. And the next row is the chain 3 turn. Put 1 single crochet, and now we're going to chain 45. This is going to be the ties. Once you have 45 chains, see, it looks kind of long, but by the time we go back up through it, it'll shrink it up a little bit. So you're going to skip the first chain from the hook, and in the second chain from the hook, and in every chain, you're going to slip stitch. So yarn over, pull through everything. Next stitch, I'm going under both loops, yarn over and pull through. Next stitch, insert the hook under the 2 loops, yarn over and pull through. And you'll want to take your time with this because this is going to be the tie, so you'll want it to look really nice and even. So just continue all the way till you reach the bonnet again. Now once you've slip stitched all the way back up your tie, you're back to your bonnet. You're still on row 4. You've put the first single crochet before you started your chain, so we'll put the second single crochet. And then continue on, putting 2 single crochets in each double crochet and 2 single crochets in each chain 3 turn space. And continue until you get to the back. Once you've added your border all the way down the 15 rows, you have this center back. There's 2 slip stitches, which is where we initially moved over to this gap to start putting the granny clusters in. You're going to skip those slip stitches. We're not going to put any single crochet border in the round. We're only putting it in the rows. So you're skipping those entirely, going to the next double crochet, which is from the first row, and then just continue down the other side. Now I've added the single crochet border along the bottom edge, and as I approach the front edge, I'll put in the 4th row from the edge, I'll put 1 single crochet, then do the 45 chain, slip stitch back up the chain, put the second single crochet, and then finish to the edge for the second tie. I just want to show you the ties here. The one on the bottom is the one we've already slip stitched back up to the bonnet, and the one on the top is just the chain. So you can see how much it shrinks down once you finish it off. You can make these ties longer or shorter, but I think 45 is a really good length. It gives you enough room to tie a nice little bow under the baby's chin without being too long. So now I've slip stitched back up the second tie and finished single crocheting to the front edge. Now I'm going to add 1 chain. That'll help ease around this 90-degree turn. And I'll put a single crochet in the stitch for the first 2 stitches, and then a single crochet in the space between the stitches. Single crochet in the stitch, single crochet in the stitch, single crochet in the space between. That will help define the clusters on the last row. Just continue this along the front edge. And when you get to the edge here, you're just going to slip stitch and fasten off, and your bonnet's complete. And here's your finished bonnet. I have the brim folded back, but you could also pop it forward to shade the baby's eyes. If you like this project, go ahead and give me a thumbs up here on YouTube, favorite and queue it on Ravelry, and if you make this project, be sure to post lots of pictures on Ravelry. I'd love to see them.